this was a really interesting case. A young guy, relatively young. I like to say young because he was 38, so that seems young to be these days. But he had a positive test about a month ago. He had been admitted, so he'd been in the hospital, and presumably had done fine, or at least well enough to be discharged. And then he came to our hospital with shortness of breath. You think, okay, well, here's a guy, he had this infection, he did okay, and then a month later, he's presenting with this.
Yeah.
When you recover from that, I think there has to be some long-term sequela. You're at the level where, tenths of a percentage point are going to make the difference between winning and losing, then, you maybe not be quite the same athlete that you were prior to it.
Right. Yeah.
There's a reproduction number of 1, and you go through 10 rounds of infection. So you infect one person, they go and infect one person, and that person goes and infect. So at the end of 10 rounds, you're going to be looking at about 18 cases that each person is responsible for. If you go to 3, so meaning one person infects 3 people, those 3 people go and infect 3 more people, and so on and so forth. If you go through 10 rounds, you're looking at roughly one person being responsible for around 55,000 cases, I want to say. Wow. So we started kind of on the main strip in Manayunk, and then we made a right turn and went under the sort of railway passes. So you made a right, and then a left, and you were at the base of the wall, and then the finish line was at the top.
Wow.
And then Sunday we did the big race, the Philly race, which, that was pretty interesting. There being this hot dog factory right on the course, and I just remember every time we go by it, just overwhelming smell of hot dog production, which, as you might imagine, was not exactly good.
Not the best.
No, especially not when you're lined out, suffering, basically in over your head like I was. But it was a UCI pro team, although we were essentially the bad news bears of U.S. pro cycling. Actually, if the bad news bears was a cycling team, we would have made them look like Team Sky. But it was still an awesome experience because I got to do all those races. It was almost like we were doing all these pro races, but we were kind of like an amateur team. There was so much that we just didn't know, I think, at the time, and we just we didn't have the support staff like even they had. I remember getting hand-ups in Philly, a water bottle with Fig Newton's duct tape to the bottle, and so going 30 miles an hour, trying to take this duct tape Fig Newton off, put the water bottle in the cage, put the Fig Newton in the back of my jersey, maybe take a bite of it, not get dropped.
I bet if I put half the effort that I put into cycling into work or education, I'll do so much better.
Oh yeah, totally. That's the thing. I forget I think Merck said it. He's like, compared to cycling, life is easy. And so that's the one thing cycling does is it teaches you to really deal with some adversity and how to just put your nose to the grindstone. And it just requires so much from you that when you can apply that to, like you said, Jeff, anything else, it's almost like you're guaranteed to be a success because
it's like easy.
If you can, everything is hard. Don't get me wrong. Like everything, graduate school stuff, medical school was certainly hard. Residency was, even harder. But when you have that mindset of being able to, let's say, you're doing a training, you have this training schedule, and you wake up, and there's 5 hours on the program, and it's raining, when you have to head out the door, to be able to get yourself together, because as we all know, cycling, it's not like running where you just throw on some shoes and go out the door. With cycling, you have a lot of time to say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. Whether that's like when you're getting your bike ready or getting your food ready or filling your water bottles.
Your rain jacket.
Right. But if you can go out there and do it, that takes a certain mentality. And I think, people who have that mentality, when they apply their energies to other endeavors, they have a really good shot of being successful. So, and I had this conversation with people that I sort of cross paths with in med school, and they asked me about cycling, and I'd say if you did 100 races a year, if you won 10 races, that's an awesome season, right? That's a 10% return on investment.
Right.
the other, let's say, if you're lucky, maybe the other 30% of the time you're kind of in the mix, you're up there. Maybe, 40, another 40%, you're just kind of like pack fill. And then there's that last little bit where you're just getting shredded, and
Right.
you're left for dead in the middle of nowhere with a lot of time and think about, the choices you made up to this point. And so if you can like deal with that and then line up and do it again, knowing that there's zero guarantee of success or even, finishing in the pack, then that type of resilience, I think, prepares you well. I try to, as probably not as much as I would like to. I have a trainer, and I also have a Zwift account, and so as a matter of fact, I wrote yesterday. I kind of alternate between doing Zwift or putting on like HBO or Netflix and watching something. But I have a smart trainer, so that's mainly what I do. Either that or the bike path. We have I'm sure Jeff remembers the bike path here in town.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a 25-mile loop. Most of it is on a bike path. And when I can get out to do that, I do. But unfortunately, with everything, family, work, that doesn't happen. Maybe it happens once a month. But I try to ride a trainer at least once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Right.
You're always sort of the only one a lot of times. And so you can feel, you feel sort of out of place. And then you deal with some things that other people, aren't going to deal with. And I talked a little bit about that in that article. But I think just the cumulative effect is, sort of, should I be doing this? Because there's just so few Black cyclists. I mean, it's better than it was certainly when I started, and through the years there've been, like Rassam Bahati and of course now the Williams brothers and what they're doing. I mean, I found out about them not too long ago. So it's better than it was, but I think those guys, from what I've read, interviews that they've had, they had experiences similar to mine, even though we're separated by, 20 years. I even to this day, going back to the bit about the bike shop, that's something that stuck with me. Those experiences I had when I was a kid, taking my bike in and being accused of stealing it, or as an adult going into shops and just sort of you're kind of given like this look, like what are you doing in here? And the funny thing is that back when I was, and I think all cyclists do this, when I was 150, I'm thinking, oh God, man, I'm too heavy. I need to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get out of that, and then you realize, oh man, you were just like, I was, probably skin and bones, but I always sort of walked around thinking like, I gotta lose some more weight. Like, the typical cyclist.
Exactly.
Yeah.